Sometimes you just need to have an XLR microphone and a separate mixer for your streaming and your gaming setups, but you don't want to spend a ton of money. This option right here is going to come in at under $100, and I think you're going to be really surprised. What's up, everybody? I'm the Derek Frank, and today I am checking out a mixer from my friends at Fifine. This is not a paid sponsorship, but they did send me this microphone and mixer at no charge, but all of these opinions are going to be my own, so if I have anything bad to say, they just are going to have to deal with it. When they reached out to me and asked me to review this microphone set, I was really excited to do it because I have recommended a couple of their microphones to friends that are doing streaming and gaming and podcasting because a lot of their stuff comes in under $50 and it's swinging way above that price range. So when they offered this, I was really excited. I wanted to see what this microphone right here could do. That's not only an XLR, but it's also USB, so it's really versatile. But then the fact that it came with a separate mixer, I was pretty excited to see if it was any good or if it was just another one to add to the pile. So the model of this is the KF5 Am8 system. This comes with a dynamic XLR and USB microphone. So this does both options, and then it also comes with this mixer. The mixer is great for podcasting and gaming, and it has individual mute controls, headphone monitoring, and volume faders, which having those extra faders and not have to go into software is really great. And before we get too far, I will say the greatest thing about this whole setup is you don't have to install any software. Everything is all built in. All you have to do is just plug it into your PC or your Mac and it automatically starts working. There's not a lot to it. So my first take on this, one, having a dynamic microphone is pretty essential. My main go-to microphone is the SE Dynacaster, so I have a pretty high standard of what I want a dynamic microphone to be. And this thing, for the whole set coming in under $100, it's doing really well. I do hear a little bit of noise artifacts in the background, but that's to be expected. There is no noise canceling on the mixer. I would like to see that maybe in the future that they do it, but again, for that under $100, that's not a deal breaker by any means. Now, moving on to the mixer, it has both condenser and dynamic options, and it has that 48-volt phantom power. So if you have a microphone that needs phantom power, this can handle it as well. Now, moving down the mixer, you have 4 different faders. You have a fader for your microphone gain, your line in, so if you want to use like an iPad or a different audio source to go in, you can do that. You have your headphone mixer, and then finally you have your line out in case you want to send the signal directly to something else like a camera or to speakers. I also like that you can use the computer audio in on this mixer as well. There's a few features on the mixer that you may or may not want to use. So number one is an auto-tune-like feature, and you can even set the key. So if you're wanting to use this for some more singing type things, or maybe you just want that auto-tune kind of sound, it can do it. So let's test it out. Oh, so there's this auto-tune kind of element. And again, you can change the key of that. I don't know if it's very useful for everybody, but it is on there. Next, you have a voice changer that has a few different voice options.
First, you have a male voice.
Then you have a female voice.
Then you have the robot. Next, you have a monster voice.
This one's my favorite. This is the baby voice.
And finally, you have an elder voice. So I'm assuming like an older person, but really to me, it kind of just sounds like horror movies when people make a phone call.
Next up, you have the RGB and light button. Of course, what would a gaming mixer be without RGB? I still love RGB, as you can tell from the background. I'm never going to give it up.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down.
But it's really cool because as you push the button, you can cycle through several different color options, or you can turn those off. I like having the RGB on. Again, look at the room. And next up, you have 4 custom button options. This is an interesting feature. What this is for doing sound clips. You can either do sound clips of your audio from the microphone or from your line in. One thing it doesn't have that I wish it did have was that with the sound clip recording that you could automatically just throw stuff in there, but there's no storage in this mixer, so can't do that. But let's test out this feature. So all you have to do is hold down the button. Once it turns white, you can start recording. And then just lift up the button to stop. Now let's test it. Once it turns white, you can start recording. Now, the recording audio isn't as good, but it is there. So if you want to have some recorded clips or even pull some from your computer, that is a neat option to have while you're streaming, especially that you have 4 different buttons to do that. Finally, on the mixer, you've got all of your mute buttons. So you can mute your microphone, your line in, you can mic monitor this. So if you're using headphones, you can use the mic monitoring to turn up your own volume in your ears. Really nice feature. And then finally, you have a mute for the line out. Now, I did have a chance to test this as a USB microphone, and it sounds almost the exact same as it does as an XLR mic going into the mixer, but there are a couple different options. So on board, you have a mute button, you have a microphone gain knob, and you have a headphone volume knob. You also have a button that you can change the RGB color. Now, right now, I don't have the RGB on because I'm using it as an XLR, but here's what it looks like if you are using it as a USB mic and using those RGB colors. So in the bottom of the microphone, you have your USB-C input/output, you have your XLR output, and you have a headphone jack. So if you're not wanting to take a mixer and you want a really fast, compact, easy streaming option, this is a really good little microphone for it. You can also buy just the microphone for around $50. Right now, this setup is going for $99 on Amazon, but there is a 5% coupon. So for under $100, you can have a microphone that's really versatile with XLR and USB options, and a mixer that has 4 different faders and a lot of other little features that might come in handy for you. So what are my overall thoughts? Sound quality? Pretty good, especially for the price range. You're going to have a hard time beating this setup. Could the audio be better? Yeah, of course, but it's under $100, folks. You cannot expect this to sound like a $500 system if you're paying under $100. Now, what would I spend on this? I would say this is easily worth probably $175. I wouldn't have a problem spending that kind of money on this setup. I think they've hit that sweet spot at 100. I don't know if they had it at 150 and sales were a little bit slow, so they moved the price down. But at $100, these things should be moving off the shelves really, really fast. This is an amazing setup. I will also admit, I had one of my favorite interfaces fail because of a driver issue recently, and I had to shoot my podcast in like 5 minutes. And so I was kind of scrambling, didn't know what to do. And I grabbed this mixer and plugged it in, and it's been staying on my desk. I've now used this mixer for 2 separate podcasts, and I used it with my SE microphone, which you can check out that podcast, the Living with the Land Speeder podcast, where we Star Wars-ify different Disney rides and attractions. There's a famous plug. But I used it on there for 2 different episodes, and I was really happy with the outcome. Plus, it's super simple to use. If you're a podcaster or a streamer or a gamer or just want a little bit better microphone for your video meetings and calls, this is a really great option. Again, pretty non-committal at under $100 for this whole setup. And even if you don't love the sound quality for under $100, give it to your kid. Let them use it for streaming. I think you're going to be really happy with it, though. So again, thank you to my friends at Fifine. If you want to buy this microphone, I have links below for my affiliate links on Amazon. It makes me a few extra dollars, not a lot, but does kind of make it more enticing for me to make these videos. So until next time, you guys have a good one. We'll see you later.